By the way, thank you for taking your time out of your day to go through the presentation with us. Again, you folks should be familiar with the website for your bank. Again, https://ameriserve.com is your website. You'll be going into the login information, as Heather mentioned before, and you'll be going into the business portion, and you'll be putting in your credentials so you can get logged in. Ameriserve Bank is going to be mailing out your credential information for you, so you'll be able to get into your credentials, or get your credentials and get yourself logged into the product. This is a look and feel. Some of you have been into the product in the preview already, so you've seen this information already. The look, of course, is going to be, and it's going to ask for your company ID and your user ID. Those are part of the credentials that we ask for, company ID and user ID, and you're going to click on Continue for your login screen. After you click on the Continue information, this is how it looks when you place in your information, by the way, your credentials. And then, of course, it's going to take you into what we call the one-time authentication screen, or your one-time security information. The one-time security information will be presented the very first time you log into the product. One thing I am going to give you as a heads up for the product, it does recognize IP addresses and devices. So if it recognizes some anomaly information out there, or let's say, for instance, your PC does not hold cookies or clears cache on a nightly basis, you could be seeing the security information more than one time. So again, it could pop up to you on several occasions. Again, it's for the security information that your bank is placing on your device, not the application itself. Application just recognizes something that's different, so it tries to put you through the security information. Once you get this pop-up, you're going to click on the action information that you'll see there, which says Continue on with Security Code. You will click on to that action button. Once you click on that action button, the system is going to give you the option to either put in your security information to receive your security information by phone call or by text on your mobile device. The plus side with this is that if you do receive this information with your text or mobile device, these phone numbers do have to be registered with your bank. So you're going to see that inside the presentation as well. So let's say, for instance, you determine that you want to receive that code via text. You'll click on the radio button of Send the Text Message to a Mobile Device. You'll click on the action button of Continue. You'll go into the security code screen next. Again, as I talked about before, you'll be entering in that security information in after you place in your mobile phone number. Mobile phone number you will have to place in manually. So that's the reason why we have to have that mobile information going out to a registered phone number. So the phone numbers that you call have to be registered with Ameriserve Bank. Again, you'll manually place in that phone number information. You'll click on Send Text Message. Once you receive the text message information, it's going to ask for your one-time security code to be placed in. You'll place in that one-time security code, and after you place in that one-time security code, it's going to take you to the password screen. The very first time you log into the product, you'll be placing in a temporary or starter password. And once you get logged into the product, the system or product is going to ask you to create a password for yourself. So once you place in that temporary password, click on Sign In. It's going to take you to a screen looking very similar to this. It's going to ask you to place in a new password for yourself. A couple things with the password information. As you can see here, the requirements will be listed. We have to place in a certain number of characters. The characters will be 8 to 12 characters long. And we use letters, uppercase or lowercase. You have to have numbers, specialty characters, which are listed on the screen, as you can see. So it'll tell you how many of these requirements you'll need to pass in order for that password to be valid. Password expires every 90 days, so that may be something that's a little bit different for you coming into this product. But the password will expire every 90 days. It will ask you to change it. If you haven't changed it in 90 days, it will ask you to change it once you've logged into the product. And you can change that password the same way as you see it here. The next thing you're going to see, as Heather mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to be going into a demonstration screen. So I am going to go into one of my demos. So I'm going to go ahead and share my information with you. All right, once we get into the demo site, you'll be able to see the information for login. Once you see the information for login, we'll be able to put in our credentials. I'll go ahead and get my credentials in here, and we'll get logged in and get on the way. Put my user ID in. I'm going to go ahead and click on Continue. I'm already a user in the product, so I'll just go ahead and get my password placed in there and go ahead and sign in. So it'll go ahead and get me logged into the product. Once I get logged into the product, the next thing that's going to happen is it is going to load up my panels that will be presented on what we call the dashboard or welcome page. The panels that you'll see listed here are based on entitlements. If you are a certain type of user within the product, you are entitled to have access to certain type of panels. You'll see me play around with the panels in just a little bit here, just to give you an idea of what these panels are going to look like. We'll give you just a quick demonstration of what our panels look like. The panels that you'll see here, we have some shortcut panels. These are shortcuts to different functions or functionality within the application. You are also going to see the calendar panel here. I have the calendar panel set up here. This calendar panel, if I have something scheduled up for myself or if I have a custom alert out there, I would be able to see custom information. So I'll be able to see that information. That will be information that I placed out here for myself. You also can see recent alerts. There are alerts that can be placed out here. These are messages that can be possibly sent from your bank. Again, here's just a custom alert, just a test that I sent to myself. And then you'll see me actually going out and talking about adding some alerts out here for myself. You also see another panel here called Transfer and Payment Approvals. If I am an approver within my company structure and I need to approve things, it will show me on this panel what things I need to approve. If I set up alerts, the alerts also work with the panel. I receive the alert via text or email. Once I receive that alert information, it alerts me to go ahead and log into the product and go ahead and approve that information. And this screen gives you that ability or capacity to go ahead and get that information approved. Again, that would be the case of multiple approvers type situations. Inside of the important account balances panel, you're going to see some accounts. Again, when we have these types of situations, we'll be able to edit accounts being displayed. Again, I do have the ability to edit different types of accounts. Depending upon the categories that your bank chooses, you'll be able to see some of the categories here. You'll be able to see checking, category of savings, possibly CDs, and of course our loan accounts. We can have 7 accounts per category. And again, it's up to you as a user to determine what accounts you want to assign to this panel on your dashboard. And you can have multiple panels of this information placed on that dashboard. And again, we can also always check or uncheck information here, save that information. You can also go to different categories and check or uncheck accounts being listed or viewed on this dashboard display. And here's my accounts being viewed. A couple different things that are very nice in the application. In my case, I have an available balance, so I'll be able to go ahead and click on that hypertext link there. It'd be able to show me if there's any activity happening within the account today. We'll be able to see what's available and what's accessible balance inside of this account. We are also able to see, if you can take a look to the far left here, the last 4 digits of the account itself, the account number, and there's a description next to that. Once we click on this hypertext link, we're able to see, if at all possible, if there's any activity happening today. We are able to see intraday activity. So if there's any activity happening today, any debits, credits, any information getting handled at the teller line, we'd be able to see what we call intraday activity here. Intraday activity, 24, 48 hours. Later on in the presentation, we're going to take a look at reports. So this kind of gives you an idea. This gives us a brief view of what is coming in within the last 24 to 48 hours. If we want to go back farther than that, we take a look at reports, and reports would tell us information about our transactions happening beyond that time frame. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Welcome tab again. Go ahead and load up the panels. A couple things I do also want to share about the panels. Panels can be minimized and maximized. There's a plus sign and a negative sign. There's a plus sign. There's my negative sign. So I can minimize and maximize the view. I can also delete that panel if I need to delete the panel. The arrow pointing down is delete the panel. We can also delete or remove these panels. Again, keep in mind, these are panels per person or user. Also, another little shortcut that's on the panels there is if you want to go into the activity, again, beyond that 24, 48 hours, there are shortcuts that are built underneath each category, checking, savings, CDs, and loan information. You can get into the reports here as well. These are shortcuts that are built into the panels. So panels are very useful. Again, you will see some panel information here. Upper right-hand corner, there's an action button that says Add Info Panels. Again, info panels that you see here, there are, in this case, 13 info panels that are, again, entitled to myself as a user. Again, the panels are broken into categories. You see the account services 2, administration because I'm an administrator within the company, 2 panels for that. I use Positive Pay, see the Positive Pay information, my reporting, and my transfer payment panels. As we can also see, these panels add up to more than 13. There are a couple of panels that do go across different categories. Next to the right of this, you are going to see a picture of what that panel will look like when it's added to your dashboard. You'll also see the name of the panel and a brief description of what the panel will do for you when you add it to the dashboard. And then as you can see, as I start to go through these panels, you'll see a few of the panels. This is the calendar panel. It's already added to the dashboard. I can only add 1 copy of that information to my dashboard. Some of the panels can be added once, and some panels can be added multiple times. So for the Important Account Balances panel, as you can see, that panel can be added to the dashboard multiple times. I'm going to go ahead and add that panel to my dashboard. As you can see, it's added. I can navigate back to the dashboard by clicking on the hypertext link here for dashboard, middle of the page for dashboard, or simply clicking on the tab of information for welcome to get myself navigated back to the dashboard and load up the panels again. Now, because I'm in a training environment, or I'm in a training environment, when I add panels back to this dashboard, they do not present the way you would normally see them in your everyday view. So when you see panels getting added back out there, just waiting for this last one to load up here. As you'll see it in just a moment, it's going to be loaded up with some accounts inside of it. That would not be the case in day-to-day. So in day-to-day, you would have to, once that panel was added to your dashboard, you would still have to go back in and edit the accounts that are going to be displayed. So there wouldn't automatically be any check marks or check boxes X or checked out for you immediately. You have to go there manually and tell the system or application what accounts you would like to view. Now, the reason why this Important Account Balances panel is so important is because we know we are dealing with business customers. Business customers have more than just a couple of accounts out there, and you may want to view those balances in those accounts. If you want to view the balance information in the account as you log into the product, you have to go out and you have to identify what accounts you would like to view inside of your panel. And you can have, in this case, this particular panel can be added to that dashboard view 99 times. So this panel can be added to this dashboard 99 times. You can also, I just clicked on the check mark, you just hover over the box or hover over the panel to get your little plus sign. You can hover over that and you can navigate that panel anywhere you like within this dashboard view. And then of course you can go ahead and edit your accounts being displayed, and then those accounts will be displayed. This is the way this panel information will be presented. You still have to edit what information is going to be visible. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. And I'm going to start talking a little bit about the alerts that we can use within the product. Underneath the Alerts and Messages panel, you'll see Manage Alerts. Underneath Manage Alerts, you'll also be able to go out and create alerts here. We're also able to create alerts underneath Administration. So underneath Administration, you'll see Communication, and it also says Manage Alerts. So in most cases throughout this product, there's more than one way to navigate throughout the product. I'll go ahead and take the shortcut today, so I'll go ahead and click on Manage Alerts. And when I click on Manage Alerts, I'm able to see my tabs of information. Inside of this product, we have alerts that are created about account information or activity, or actually any information that failed. We also have what we call non-account alerts. It deals with non-account activities, such as password changes, email address changes, and phone number changes. And we also have the ability to create what we call a custom alert. Okay. Because these alerts do get sent out to email addresses and to, in some cases, mobile devices, we do have a hypertext link built in here for personal preferences. That hypertext link will give you the ability to go out and change your email address and your phone number. So when you set up this alert information can be emailed to a primary or secondary email address or to a mobile device. It can be texted out to a mobile device. I'm going to go ahead and identify one of my accounts that I want to assign alerts to. So in my categories you'll see here, I'll go ahead and identify my petty cash account. I'll highlight the account. I will click on Go, and we'll talk a little bit about the alerts that you'll see here. In this case, I have some alerts set up for myself about checks being presented. We also have the ability to set up alerts about return deposit items, credited items, debited items that are posted, max balance, minimum balance, negative balance. We do have the ability to set up alerts. A couple different things we want to talk about. I'll talk about the rest of the categories you'll see here. There are alerts out here about transfer and payment information, ACHs, multiple account transfers, scheduled multiple account information, internal transfers and external transfers if you're doing external, and as well as your transactions that have failed. We also have alerts out here for account reconciliation and positive pay, and we also have stop payment alerts as well as wire alerts. Right. So a few things I want to talk about here. We'll talk about setting up a couple of alerts. One of the things I want to talk about, if you have a series of alerts set up here, as we do here, we have more than one set up, but there's only one I need to remove. I'm going to go ahead and click on Change, and I'm just going to simply click on the hypertext link here to remove that individual item. Just waiting on it to remove here for me. Hopefully we get this information. There we go. Went ahead and removed the couple of checks for me. Once I remove those checks, I'll go ahead and save the alert. Once we resave the alert, it's just going to let me know that information's now been saved. If I need to delete all of the information, if you click on delete, it actually removes all of the alert information. So if there were more than one alert within that category that you needed to save within that area, you'll have to go back in and reset this information up. Again, alerts are per individual user. So I'll go out and set up a couple of alerts. I'll talk about credit posted. If I have a credit that I want to monitor that's being posted to my accounts, I'll identify the type of credit that I'm trying to monitor. Again, information is going to be in numeric and then alphabetical order. You don't have to worry about the information or the numbers in parentheses. Just need to worry about the category's name. I'll just say it's an ATM credit. Greater than, less than, or equal to, I'll say greater than and a dollar amount. And then I can identify email addresses, and this individual customer is not set up for any type of mobile transactions, but if they were set up for mobile information, you would see phone numbers listed here as well. You can check those phone numbers, so the alerts can not only be sent to these email addresses, they can be sent to the phone numbers as well. If you're trying to set up multiple accounts within the category, you would simply use add another, add another, add another. If we're adding just one alert to this list, we'd simply click on add alert. The information would then highlight and fade in. And then we would simply move our way to the rest of the categories that you see here for that one account. After we complete that account, then we go back to our list, and of course, then we move on to the next account, the next account, the next account, completing the same function. Okay. Now, we do know within this product that this information could get tedious, so we do understand if one alert needs to be assigned to more than one account, we have a function for that as well. It's called set up the account alert. What I'm going to do is go ahead and click on that hypertext link to set up the account alerts, and when I click on that link of information, it's going to take me to the list of alerts. I'm going to do debit post this time. Click on go. And now it's going to take me into, of course, all debits, but if there's a specific type of debit that I'm looking for, I'll go ahead and identify that type of debit, whether it's greater than, less than, or equal to a dollar amount. I'll place in that information, identify my email addresses, and possibly a phone number, again, if we're doing mobile alerts. At this point, we would then identify whether this information is going to go to all of my accounts. I'll say all 17 of my accounts, or is the information just going to go to my checking accounts? I'll highlight checking, and now the information is going to be identified as going to 15 of the 17. If it was just going to the savings accounts, identify savings and go, and you would just see, in my case, just the one savings account there. I will say in this case just the checking account and click on go. And then at that point, you can identify the accounts individually, or you can simply check on the box next to description, select all of your accounts on the list. You will also see a scroll internally. Again, we could have multiple accounts that we need to identify. And then once we've identified all the accounts needing the alert, you'll click on the action button to save changes. And it will tell you that those alerts will have now been saved successfully. I'm going to also go back and return to manage alerts because we do need to talk about the other type of alerts that are out there. The next tab of information is what we call non-account alerts. Again, as you can see here, we can also turn on alerts about email addresses being changed, phone numbers being changed, user phone numbers being changed, again, if we're monitoring multiple users, or passwords being changed. Again, this is dealing with non-account type of activity. It doesn't deal initially with, say, a debit or credit to the account. We also have our custom alerts. As you can see here, I have a custom alert that's set up to happen once a week or on a weekly basis. Next is going to occur on 3/1. Again, I can change information or delete information just to show you what the deletion. If the information is deleted, that information is going to go into the bank mail inbox, which in this case is just the mail and alerts area of this product, and I'll show you in just a second where the alert also appears at. Again, its frequency is weekly. When does it start? When does it end? I'm going to go ahead and delete the alert because I'm going to place another one. And if you want to view all of your mail and alert information, there's a hypertext link in the navigation panel that will alert you, or excuse me, will allow you to go in and view the mail and alert information. Just as a heads up, the mail information and the alert information stays here for 90 days, and then the system removes it after 90 days. So if you don't remove it, the system will automatically remove it if it's in here longer than 90 days, if the mail and alert information residing longer than 90 days. I'll go ahead and add the new alert. Once I add the alert, I'll go ahead and put in my message. Once I add the message in, I can go ahead and identify where the alert is going to be sent to, whether that alert information is going to be sent to an email, or again, it can go to mobile devices as well. Again, we can place our frequency if it's one time in the future, weekly, choose the day of the week, every other week. 15th last day of the month, it's the last processing day of the month. In this case, it will be 28, 29, 30, or 31st. Monthly, again, choose the day of the month, and you kind of get the idea here. Monthly, last day, every 3 months, 6 months, yearly, and again, custom. If you're going to do custom, just kind of a reminder for the customs, you can add your days. Once you add your days in, you'll add additional days, so you'll choose the days. This alert is going to be placed on the calendar. Again, you can choose your months by going into the drop-down menu, and you can also, sorry about that, you can also schedule this information out 5 years. So you can choose the month, and you can choose the day in the future 5 years from now. It goes out to 2023. I'll go ahead and make a quick alert. I'll say it's weekly. I need to identify when this is going to start. So in this case, I'll say Friday the 23rd. I can have it continue indefinitely until a certain date or for a certain number of times or occurrences. Once I add the alert, I should receive a confirmation screen, again, by highlighting and fading away. Next piece of information that we're going to cover is also underneath the Administration tab. So underneath the Administration tab, you're going to see some communication information, which again, we'll see our alerts and mail information. You can see sent mail information there. We also manage our alerts here, and you can see contact us. That's how you send information to the bank. The information goes from this product, AmeriServ Business Banking application, to the bank, and it goes from the bank to AmeriServ Business Banking application. So it is a secured messaging system. And we also have some form and document information. So there could be some information being sent to you by your bank, and you can review that information inside of the product there. The other piece of information you'll see here would be self-administration. All users have communication and self-administration capability. For the folks that are going to be administrators within their companies, those folks will have, company administration information. So you have to have the role of administration in order to see company administration. And I'll go into some of the setup inside of this administration area, company administration area, so you can see what that role information is going to look like. So either you're an administrator, you have the role of company administration, or you're a user and you just have communication self-administration. I'm going to go ahead and click on Manage Users, and I'll go ahead and load up my users. So these are users that have access to my information or my company's information. And then these folks that you see here should already be activated by AmeriServ Bank. AmeriServ Bank would have went out here and placed out the users, their first names, their last names, and their user IDs. So that information should be in place. Please refer to the setup pages or the setup information that Ameriserve Bank has sent out to you to go in and check your users to make sure that they are able to do the correct functions after we go live out of the preview period. So that's the whole catch with the preview period. We want you to go in and make sure things are correct, and we want you to go in and review things to make sure that, one, everyone's here, and two, they can do their functions going forward into the go live period. Okay. Now, if I'm the administrator of this company, I can go in and set up other employees. The easiest way for me to go in and set up an employee would be to go in and copy information from an existing employee. So if I have an existing employee, either myself, the admin, or my user, April Flowers, I can copy information from any one of these users. I'm going to go ahead and create the new user information. Once I go ahead and click on that action button to create the new users, see your screen populate in just a moment. I have to put in some information for that employee. Unfortunately, the internet loads are pretty slow this afternoon, so hopefully folks can bear with me on this one. Give it a moment here. There we go. So first thing we have to do is identify their user ID. So you have to identify what you want to use for that person's user ID. Just to let you know, a user ID is represented by 4 characters. They can be letters, they can be numbers, but you need at least 4 of them to represent a user ID within this application. So you have to have at least 4. Okay. Once you place that information inside of this product, you have to give them a starter password. Starter passwords, as you can see here, are 8 to 12 characters. I do have my caps lock on. I like to show things out here in uppercase. You can have upper and lowercase, of course. The starter password, by the way, is not case sensitive, so I'm going to go ahead and type in the starter password. I'll go ahead and confirm that starter password. Once this user logs in for the first time, again, they have to go through authentication, and once they go through authentication, again, they will be creating a password for themselves for the next 90 days. Go ahead and put in the client's first name, put in their last name. I need an email address for Kelly. Let's make up a fictitious email address for Kelly. If I need a secondary, I would like to place a secondary email address out there. I could place a secondary email address out there for Kelly and add additional information. Additional information, you can place it out here if you'd like. It can basically identify what this person does within the structure. Maybe they're the admin, primary admin, backup admin, ACH user, wire user. I'm going to identify some phone number information. So the phone number information that you'll see here would be the user phone number information. As you can see, the phone numbers get labeled work, work 2, mobile, mobile 2, home, and other. You can have 6 phone numbers here, but you can't use the label more than once. So if I'm using the work phone number information, I can be putting in my area code and phone number information along with extension information. If the extension information is being used, we also have, which is very nice inside of the product, we have our how do I's. So again, if you're stuck within any of the functions within the product, if you go ahead and click on how do I, I'm just going to share another little browser window with you. It's going to load up that information for you, and it should walk you through that functionality step by step. Hopefully we can get this in for you and you can see what it looks like. There we go. So this walks you through the whole process of adding a new user. So if you ever forget how to do something and you take a look in your bottom left-hand corner, you'll see how do I. You can do this and it'll walk you step by step through that whole process. Okay. There's also terms and FAQs that are built in for the products as well. So again, the function is very useful inside the application. So all you have to do is just hit the how do I do something, and then that screen will load in the information for you. I'll go ahead and put in my area code extension information if I have it for my work. And if I want to add in additional phone numbers, I can add in additional phone numbers. In most cases, in a lot of cases, they're going to be mobile phone numbers that will be used. So we'll put in the phone number information. We don't need extension information for mobile phone. If I scroll to the top of the page, it's going to show you the beginning portion of the workflow. It's the profile. We'll also talk about the roles, the services and account information, my limits, and, of course, my verification screen. I'll go ahead and click on Continue. Then it will take me to my roles. At this time, if I want to copy information from an existing employee, it gives me the option to do not copy or copy. I'll go ahead and click on Copy. I do need to select a user I need to copy information from. If it's the primary user or the admin person, we can say it can be that admin person, or it can be another employee. Maybe this new employee needs to do the same thing as April Flowers. So I'll say they need to do that same function as April. I'll go ahead and click her user ID. It will also tell me user I'm getting information copied from. It will also bring in the roles of information that would have been assigned to April. So if April had the ability to set up templates, setting up templates for the services of ACHs and wires and multiple transfers, but again, it gives you the ability to set up those templates for those services. You have to be assigned to that role. If you need to approve transactions, you need to check the box to approve transactions. And we still need to identify what services they are going to be able to do approvals on. Now, it gets a little granular when it gets to the approval portion as well, because we still need to identify inside of those services which accounts they're going to transfer or approve transactions within as well. Administrative privilege, that's the role to be an administrator within this application. It gives them the ability to add, modify, copy, delete users, modify their roles and services and account access, rename accounts, and also modify approval numbers that are needed to complete processes within the application. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take away that grant administrative privilege because maybe I don't want this new user, Kelly Client, the access to the administrative function. I just want them to be able to set up templates and approve transactions. I'll go ahead and click on Continue. Once I click on Continue, I'll be able to move into the next screen of information, which of course will be the service and account information. Okay. The next thing you're going to see here is how many services this company is using within Ameriserve's business banking application. So in this case, this company is using 43 services within the product. Now, because I'm copying information from one individual to another individual, my Susan Flowers, that first user, whatever functionality they had entitlements to and access to will be given to this new employee, Kelly Client. If I need to go in and tweak some things, I can go into that service and either add or remove things. So that's where you're going to see removes and changes. If that person did not have access to a service at all, I'm going to remove one quickly here, you would actually see the add function there. So this is where if, let's say, Kelly Client needed that functionality, I can now go in and add that access to them. Now, sometimes it's just as simple as clicking Add, Remove. Sometimes there's a little more to that. So I'm going to go to the, sorry about that, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. I'm going to go to Multiple Account Transfer. Inside of Multiple Account Transfer, you're going to see a change to the far right. I'm going to go ahead and click on that hypertext link. Once I click on that hypertext link, it's going to load in some information for me. So this is the information that would have been given from our Amy or April Flowers user. Now what we have to do is one of two things. We have to, one, identify the account that they can transfer funds from using this product. So I'm going to take funds from one of these accounts and move it into another account. So funds come out of this account and they can be sent into another account. We also have to identify what we can go from and to. The froms and tos have to be entitled. If they need to use full functionality, you can simply use the column headers, check the box, select all the check marks for those accounts assigned underneath that service, multiple account transfer. We also have the column of transmit. This column of transmit does not appear if the user does not have the role of approval. No role to approve, no column to transmit appears. If you do give them the ability to approve transactions, you still have to go in and identify out of those accounts that they're using for this service, which one of those accounts can they approve transactions on. And then again, we can select all of those boxes if need be and save changes. Once that information is saved, we can move on to another service or another service if we need to do some tweaking. Normally, when we're copying functions from one employee to the next employee, we don't have to do tweaks, but again, just to show you that you can go in and make changes. Again, kind of going back to what we talked about in the beginning, that again, Ameriserve Bank has went out and set up all of the employees with their user IDs and of course their name and entitlements. So we do want you to go out and do review the setups to make sure that the setup information is set up correctly. I'm going to give this just another minute or so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch out. I'm going to go to administration, manage users. Again, I do have another demo set up, so just in case. So again, if we do have users out there, we would be able to go in and edit any roles or edit any service information that they would have. If I needed to go in and edit any service information, I can go in and edit their service information. I can change and remove information here if need be. I can also go into there. I'll go back to the profile here. The next thing we would be doing here, of course, is setting up their limit information. So as you can see here, we do have limits for the ACH and wire information. So again, we can go to the ACHs. As you can see, this is the user limit. So what should default in here is the limit for the company. And by the way, if you're the administrator within your company and you forget what your limit is set up by your bank for either ACH or wires, you can take a quick look at this hypertext link, and this will tell you what limit was set up for your company. And if you've done any transactions today, it'll tell you what you've done today, what type of ACHs or wires, and it'll tell you how your limits are set up here inside of the system too. So this is a very nice little shortcut that we have built out there as well. If you want to set up a limit for this individual, place the limit there, and that's their limit per day. So these are the types of ACHs that they do. And again, there may be some listed here in this list that you don't use. Just ignore them if you don't use them. And again, what we do here is you can identify if you're going to do no limit or you're actually going to set up a limit for them per day. So if they have a limit, you'll see the limits here. If they don't have limits, you're simply just going to leave it as no limit. And don't worry if you do have that information set up as no limit, they're not unlimited. It's just basically saying that they cannot exceed the, in my case, 400,000 per day. Okay. The other part of this you're going to see here, these are ACHs by type. And then what you'll see here, of course, is ACHs per account. You can also place a limitation on the accounts as well. If you'd like to go out and place a limit on their account, you can either give them a no limit or you can give them a limit. So I can use this account for an ACH on a daily basis, but I can only do $50,000 for these two accounts. The other ones, I can do more. But again, everything rolls up to the number at the top. They cannot exceed the $400,000 for that day. Okay. I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about the wire limit. I'm going to scroll down just a bit here and talk about the wire limit. Again, with the wire limits, pretty much the same thing. You're going to be placing in a daily limit for that individual for wires. Let's say, for instance, I had a $500,000 limit for my wires. Again, I can either use no limit for the types of wires, or you can place a limit for the types of wires that you're going to allow them to do. So again, if you're going to turn on, let's say, domestic wires, the one-times or the templates, is it an unlimited type of situation, or excuse me, a limit to the $500,000, or are we going here to say that they can only do $100,000 worth of wires which are domestic, or domestic wires that are being placed via templates? That's what we're saying here when we get to the limit information. We also have what we call user transaction limits, and we also have the user daily limits. The user transaction limits, what these are, and these can also be under a no limit or limit type situation. If you turn them on, if you want a limit, you're either doing this information here as you see here. So for every wire, sorry about that, for every wire that we use using this account ending in 2470, their individual wires cannot be more than $1,000. Using the account per day ending in 2470, I can do $10,000 worth of wires for the day. After that, I'm done unless I contact my administrator of my company and they determine I need to get that information increased. In most cases, the first one, the user individual one, may or may not be used. You may be deciding you want to put limitations on the accounts, them using the accounts per wire for that day. So again, you can have limits on the types of ACHs and wires that they do, and of course the individual accounts or wires coming out of those accounts. Okay. Once all that information is completed, again, we would go in and save the maintenance. See if I can get back into my other one now. Yeah, it's giving me some defaults here. So it may not let me save that person. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. There we go. As I talked about the ACH limits, there's the no limits. There's a limit for external transfers if you're going to do external transfers. There's also limitations by accounts. Again, you're going to turn those on, and you're going to put daily limits there for ACHs. I'm going to continue on, talk about the wire ones, the wire one that I just talked about on the previous page as well. Just takes this one a bit longer to load. Again, you'll see the daily limitation. You can lower that amount, the types of wires that they do, and again, the individual wires, or if you don't want to do a limit for any individual wire using that specific account, you can put a daily limit on the amount they can use up for that account for a wire per day. I'll go ahead and continue on. When I continue on, it's going to take me to, sorry about that, got that checked. That's a nice part about the system too. Gives you a little nice red error message if you created an error. You have to go back and correct that error. So this is a verification screen. Verification screen, I can go back and change profile information, roles, accounts and service information, change limits. So any of this information I can go back to. The thing I do want to bring to your attention is if you go back and change something, let's say we have to go back and change something on the role screen, you have to work your way through the role screens, accounts and services, limits, and verification again. So you have to work your way back to this verification screen so we can submit this. Once we get this information submitted, it should give us a confirmation message. And now with Kelly Client, I can simply give her her credentials, which is company ID, her user ID, which is user 12345, and her starter password, whatever that would be. So I, as the administrator of that company, I have to correspond that information with Kelly to make sure she has that information so we can get her into the BEB app, or excuse me, to the Ameriserve Business Banking application. I'm going to talk quickly about setting up a user or managing these users that you see here. So I'm going to go quickly into managing users. Once you go into managing users, you'll see Kelly Client here. You'll also see another user here, which is Cody Client. If by chance you're setting up or in the process of completing or incomplete setup of a user and someone needs you to, let's say, reset a password for them, you could actually save that information as a draft and come back here and complete them at a later date or time. You simply go into the user ID. Once you get into the user ID, it'll take you back into that user profile, and you can complete or start working through to the verification screen from that point. Or, again, if you don't need that employee's information anymore, you can simply remove them. Okay. The other way we create users, we create a new user, we give them a user ID, give them a starter password. Make sure I got that right password in there so we don't get an error message here. And again, we want to give them a user ID, first name, last name, email address, and of course, the phone number information. I'll just throw the mobile phone number in for now. And I'll go ahead and click on continue. That's going to get me through, of course, to this. And again, I'm not going to copy information. So I'm not copying from any existing employee. And again, you can assign roles manually here because I'm not copying from anyone. I'll go ahead and click on continue. And now what you'll see here is what you have to do is now I have to go through all of these services and add access to these services. So this is the long road. The copy function, of course, is going to be a little bit more useful for you because it's going to do the majority of work for you. The only thing you'd have to do at that point is just remove any access that you didn't want that user to have or anything you didn't want that new employee to have access to. I'll go ahead and save those changes, continue on, continue on. They don't have any limits because they don't have any ACH or wire access. And then I'll go ahead and submit that user information in. Now you'll see that the user was created or completed successfully. And then when I go back to manage users, you'll be able to see that user, of course, in the list. Okay. If you are the administrator within your bank or one of the users that have the role of administration and you have to reset someone, such as Lisa Client, this user is locked out. A couple reasons why. Of course, they put in their password 3 attempts. 4th attempt, they're locked out. Once they put that information in correctly, we can go in and we can unlock their information. By the way, any user that's identified as the primary user within your company, that user has to get their information reset by Ameriserv Bank. So if they are locked out, your primary user, you can only be unlocked by Ameriserv Bank. Okay? All right. If I go into the system access information, I can go in and give them a starter password and confirm the starter password. Again, 8 to 12 characters. It's not case sensitive. You need at least 1 letter or 1 number inside of that password. Or I can simply say, if by chance Lisa knew what her password was, I can uncheck this box and save the changes. Now, users can be locked for a couple different reasons, and this is something the administrator can do as well. Let's say Lisa Klein is going on vacation. I can go into System Access and I can lock this user's access. So this user cannot access this product, Ameriserv's Business Banking, while they're on vacation. So you can't go out to any random URL, or you can't go to the bank's URL address and try to log in while you're on vacation. So I can lock or restrict your access. So that is one of the reasons why we have this locked access or locked user piece here. Or, again, this user is leaving the company and we don't want them to have access to the Ameriserv Business Banking application. We can lock their access. So that's one of the couple of reasons why we use this check mark. It can be manually placed on and it can be manually removed. Okay? But it can only be done by an administrative user. You have to have the role of administration. Okay? Last thing I'm going to talk about underneath administration, of course, is underneath self-administration, we can change passwords. I'm going to talk about changing passwords for yourself and, of course, changing your email address or phone numbers. If you need to change passwords, again, this is underneath administration. It is under self-administration and change passwords. That employee would need to be logged in and active to Ameriserv's Business Banking product. So you have to be logged into the product. You're going to put in your current password, you're going to put in a new password, and you're going to confirm it, and you are going to see the requirements for the password information here. Once we place in that information, you're going to go ahead and click on Save. That password now is good for the next 90 days. After 90 days, it will expire, and they'll have to do this for themselves again. It will also tell you the last time you've changed these passwords. I'm going to go into the contact preference information. Contact preference information is in the navigation panel to the left. I'll go ahead and click on that hypertext link that you see there. It's also underneath the administration drop-down or tab, and you can manage your contact preferences. This is where you can go in and change or remove phone numbers. If you do not see the ability to change or delete here or to add, your bank is restricting you from doing that. Okay? If your bank is not restricting you, you can do it. If you don't see it, you just see your phone numbers here and you don't see change, delete, or add additionals, you have to then call into your bank and let your bank place out that phone number information for you. But you would have the ability to change your email addresses there. If you don't have the ability to change phone numbers, we always have the ability to change email addresses. These are important pieces of information because this information would be available to you at any time for your email addresses. Okay. Heather just gave me the heads up and let me know that your phone numbers are only available to change during preview, so you guys wouldn't see your change and delete or add the additional phone numbers. But if you do see a phone number there, it's your old phone number, please contact the AmeriServ Business Bank phone numbers or support numbers that we'll place up in just a little bit when we get to question and answer, so they can get those phone numbers removed for you or changed for you. All right, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be a couple of reports. Now, the reports are very important. So again, I am working within a training environment, so the training environment has a lot of information or detail in there. So I'm going to talk about some of the activity reports. So I'm going to go to deposit reports. I'm going to go to a activity/deposit account report. Now, inside the AmeriServ Business Banking product, we are going to go to reports to see our activity. Any debits or credits or activity that would have happened within my accounts are going to be listed here. Information I showed you before on the dashboard panels is only visible for 24 to 48 hours. I may need to go back farther than that. Then I would be able to go back farther. Top of the page is going to tell you how much criteria is available for reporting. Inside of this application, I can go back 18 months inside of that information. Again, have to be on the product for 18 months to be able to view 18 months, so it does come with a little bit of a restriction. Again, there's a drop-down list here that you're going to see here, and we can see certificates of deposits. We'll be able to see our deposit accounts, savings accounts, and recently used. Recently used is any account that was recently used to set up for a previous report. Again, you can also identify the accounts, highlight checking accounts, click go. 15 of these 17 accounts that I have set up are checking accounts. If I need to view information on these accounts, I can select them individually or select all of them. Again, you will see a scroll indicator or scroll bar inside here for your accounts as well. For the date range, you're going to see specific date. You can specify the dates by also using the calendar. We can do a date range. 30 days drops in as a default, or again, you can choose to go back farther if you prefer. I'm going to go back about 90 days, so I have to change my year. Oops, sorry about that. Can't go back that far. The other thing I'm going to tell you about the date range is that it only pulls 90 days worth of information. So it pulls in 90 days or 3-month increments. So if you generate a report and you want to go back 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you have to get that information in increments. You have to go back 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months to get your information. We can also get previous business day, and if you are using QuickBooks information, you can get information since the last download of your QuickBooks update. Again, you're going to see some transactional information here, all transactions, all credits, all debits. You can select debit or credit group information. So this is kind of nice too, because now you're only looking at specific type of information inside of your report. Maybe it's only the ACH and credit debit information that you need. So now you can actually identify the specific information that you're looking for. If I'm looking for all transactions, I will leave it at all transactions. I'm going to close up the advanced options because some of you may not open it up. If you don't have advanced option sorting turned on, you're going to see the advanced options here. Do you have to use them? No, you don't have to use them. Advanced options are for sorting of the report. So if you need to sort the report in a certain way, you can do that here by account number description, ABA number and account number, ABA number and description. So you can resort them differently. I can see transaction detail. I can also include subtotals within my group. I can also search out information by exact dollar amounts, range of dollars, check numbers, the exact check number, range of checks, or a description. Maybe I'm looking for an ACH or wire transaction. I placed a description on it. I can view that information by its description. I'll go ahead and generate that report. Once I go ahead and generate that report, I'll be able to pull that up. I'm going to see my criteria at the top. Once I view this information, I can also place it in a different format. Maybe I need to put it in a CSV file, PDF, QuickBooks. Depends on what format your bank are using. They will be listed in the drop-down you see here. And again, this is the information on the report. It's the group subtotals. It's my transactions. You can also see here there's going to be checkboxes next to these transactions, and that comes in very handy because as I start to scroll down to the end of this report, it should allow me to print individual transactions. So I can see if I can scroll down to the bottom, see if I can see the print individual transactions. It doesn't, but I should be able to print individual transactions by simply checking the box next to the transactions I would like to print. I'm not printing everything, it's just those individual items. We also have hypertext links that are built into the product, make a transfer. And we also have the ability to view images. So if there was an image out there that we needed to view, there'd be an icon of a camera here. You'd see the check number here next to the icon. You would say the check number 2001. And if you want to view that item, it could also be listed out there for a deposit as well. If you have an icon of a camera listed there, you can go in and view the check image. The next type of report I want to pull up quickly here is a balance report. I'll go ahead and click on the balances deposit account. And again, just a little bit of a different spin on the report. Again, you can choose your accounts, you can choose your date or date range, and you're going to choose your sorting information. How's the information sorted on the report? I'm going to go ahead and generate that report. When I generate the report, it will allow me to view balance information for that time frame. So here's my account, and these are the balances every day. As you can see at the top, you're going to see different types of balance types at the top. Again, your bank's going to identify what balance types will appear at the top. And if I am viewing, I'm going to scroll down just a bit to one of my accounts that actually has a little bit of activity on it. If I'm viewing a dollar transaction within the account, and I may not be familiar with that transaction happening that day, if I click on the hypertext link here, it's going to bring in the detailed description of that transaction. In this case, it was a transfer that happened on the day. It was a credit for $6,000 that would have been credited to this account. So again, reports are very important because reports are going to give you the ability to view your balance and your transaction information beyond the 24 to 48 hours. Okay. All right, the next thing I am going to talk about are going to be underneath transfers and pays, and we're going to talk briefly about our internal transfers. I'm going to go ahead and load up the page, and there are two types of transfers that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the internal transfers, and we're also going to talk about what we call multiple transfers. So with the internal transfers transfer funds from one account to another within Ameriserv Bank. And again, you're going to see your drop-down menus here for your accounts you can transfer funds to and funds from. The multiple transfers will allow you to transfer funds from one account within Ameriserv Bank to multiple accounts within Ameriserv Bank. So it goes from one to many or many to one. If you decide or determine that you want to use a multiple transfer to transfer funds, you have to create a template. So we'll go out and do a couple transactions here. So from the from account, take funds from account, place funds into an account, place in my dollar amount. Description is optional. If you'd like to place a description there, you can, and we also have frequencies that go along with as well. Once I place in this information, I'll go ahead and click on continue, and once I place the continue information out there, now this information that you'll see here is based on entitlements. What are you allowing me to do within the product? Are you allowing me just to enter information? If you're allowing me to just enter information, this transmit button is not going to be viewed on the screen. This person is just going to be submitting this information for approval, and those users that have the ability to approve transactions will go in and approve the information. If this person has the ability to complete the transaction, enter it, and approve it, they'll simply click on transmit, and once they click on transmit, they will see the confirmation message. Now it told me I am one of one, and I transferred funds from this account to this account, and it shows me the send on day information. Next service that we're covering is going to be, of course, underneath account services, it will be the stop pays. Underneath stop pays, we're going to do a stop check payment. Under stop check payments, we are going to, again, identify the account that we're going to place the stop on. These stops that are being placed in real time. So we are going to need some reasons from you. If you want to place out your check number, please place out your check number. I am going to need a date for your check. You can place out your payee. Once you place out the payee, we need the dollar amount. And, of course, that's how a single stop would look. If you're going to do a range, if you do a range of checks, we need the beginning in the range. We need the end of the range. In the range, if you're going to do a range, the range has to be less than 49 checks or less, or excuse me, 49 checks or less than 50. I'll go ahead and place a stop on the range. submit that request. And again, it's been confirmed. Maybe I lost a range of checks. And in the navigation panel, when you take a look at the existing stops, you will be able to see, of course, the checkboxes for your account. Again, and we put in the date retention, generate reports to pull in a report of any existing stops. If we'd like to remove the stop, we can cancel that stop. If you place it on electronically, you can remove it electronically. Cancel the stop pay. So these screens are going to look familiar to you. We're going to talk a little bit about the wire information first, then we'll talk about ACH information after that. Wire and ACH information is also underneath the tab of transfer and payment. We're going to talk about wiring money. So when you wire money, what you're going to see here, of course, is the ability to go in and wire money without giving this information a template name. Now, the other important part I want to talk about would be your wire templates and your ACH templates. So first off, foremost, during this preview period, we want you to go in and verify that your wire templates are there. So when you go into Manage Wire Templates, you should see your existing wire templates here. If you are missing some templates, please reach out to the bank to make sure we get those template information out, that template information out there for you. If we're not putting any template information out there, we're going to show you how to add a template in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to go to Wire Money first of all, and Wire Money is a one-time wire. So the only thing we do in this point is identify the type of wire we're doing. I'm going to do a domestic wire. I am not going to give this wire template a name. I am going to choose the account I'm going to transfer funds from. Choose the send on day and choose a dollar amount. Once I choose a dollar amount, I'm going to continue on. When I continue on, now I have to start completing my wire form. So when I complete the wire form, if I know the routing ABA information for the bank that I'm sending funds to, I can type it in. And once I type in that routing ABA number, if I want to validate to make sure it's correct, I can do the bank ID validation. If I know the correct information, it's going to dump in the information for the bank into my template. So it should default that information into my template. If you don't come back with this information, you can do what we call the bank ID search. So you can search the bank's name by its full name or partial. If you're doing a partial search, you're going to uncheck exact match on name. 2 characters in the search. Same thing with the next search. It's search on the city and state. And the last search, of course, is going to be by the routing number. If you know the first 2 numbers or first couple numbers of the routing and transit number, go ahead and type that in. I'm going to uncheck exact match. I'm going to click on search. These are all the banks that ABA routing and transit numbers start with 275. You're going to add that bank to this list. We're going to add in the recipient accounts information here. I am also going to add in the recipient's name. Once I add in the information, I need to get in, sorry about that, I need to get in their address information. So once I get that name in, I'll go ahead and get the address in. Once I get the address in, I need the information in address line number 2. Now notice any of the fields that don't have optional next to them. These fields are required fields. So you are going to have to put something in field number 2. So in this case, I'm going to put in my city and my state and a zip code. You can also put this information in this way. So you could put in the state and the zip code on the address line 3. If you have additional information that needs to go in, you can put the additional information into the field. And you can put intermediary information in if intermediary information is needed. I am going to click on continue, and then we're going to talk about verifying the wire. So now we're going to verify the wire information. Notice this is a one-time wire. It does not have a wire template name. So we're just verifying the information is correct. You're going to see submit, and you're going to see transmit. So for the one-time wires, if you're going to be transmitting this, don't forget we do have the security features out there, the authentication. So the preferred method for the bank, of course, is going to be the advanced authentication. The same way you log into the product is the same way it'll be authenticating your ACHs and wires. unless your company is using token. And again, Heather talked to you folks about the token information, so there'll be some instructions that'll be going out for the token users. Transmit's pretty much the same way. You'll go ahead and transmit this information, and you're either going to see advanced security or you are going to see the information out there about the token. Don't forget about your callbacks. You could be getting information on your callbacks as well. So again, just because you authenticated to go through the Ameriserve Business Banking application does not mean that you still will not be getting callbacks, because you still will be getting your callbacks as well. Okay. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, of course, is creating that wire template. So we're going to go to Manage Wire Templates. And again, once we get into the wire templates, we can go ahead and create the wire or add a template. When we go into Add Template, template needs to get a name. Once we put the name there, of course, we put in our type of wire, put in the account information, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because a lot of this information we just reviewed. So again, we identify the account and we click on Continue. Once we click on Continue, then we would be able to put in the same information that we placed in for the one time. We need the routing and transit number. Whatever that routing and transit number is, we need the recipient's account, their name, their street address, their city, state, zip code. So we need the bank's information. We need the recipient's information. Again, you can do those bank searches as well. If you need to go in and do the bank ID search or you need to do the bank verification, you can do those as well. I put in this and do the partial search. Find your bank, add that bank to your template. Once you do that, of course, you get in your account number, the information for your recipient, any intermediary information, and you're going to add the template to the list. Once that information is added to the list, you would see that template in the list. The next thing you're going to do to use these templates would be to go to Wire Money via Template. When you're wiring money via template, template's already set up. So we're just simply using the name of the template at that point. We're just identifying what the template's name is. We're identifying a dollar amount. And we're going to identify the frequency of that wire. If we're going to do it more than once, we're going to set it on a schedule. Now, how do I know this is the correct template? There'll be a hypertext link here that will allow me to go ahead and look at those details of that wire. I'll be able to go in and look at the details of the wires at that point. Okay. If that's the correct template, we go ahead and click on Continue. Once we click on Continue, again, we would, if we are entitled correctly, transmit. If we are not entitled to approve something, again, we would submit for approval and let our approvers approve the wire. And again, don't forget, once you click on the action button of transmit, again, it is going to bring up the information for the advanced authentication or token. Okay. We also have the ability to send multiple wires in this application. When we send multiple wires in the application, very simple, same concept, choose your wire name, choose your dollar amount, choose your send on days. I can choose 5 wires at a time. If I need more than 5, I can simply click on Add More Requests, Add More Requests, Add More Requests. So it is unlimited here how many wires you can do at one time. And again, once that information is completed, I would simply click on Continue. Once that information is completed, I get to my verification screen, and of course, if I have the ability to transmit, I would transmit that transaction. And again, I'm transmitting them, but again, we would still have to go through the security of the advanced authentication or through the token. There are alerts that you can set up for wires as well, so don't forget about your alerts. There are alerts that you can set up that will go to your dashboard, and they will go to the panel for approving transactions. The next thing we are going to talk about is the ACHs. And inside the ACHs, I'm going to go into, sorry about that, transfers and pays. I'm going to go into make an ACH payment, manage templates. So important thing to remember about this is that your existing templates should be here. The other important thing to remember about this for ACH is that the payments and collection templates are broken into 2 separate categories. Your payments are here, your collections are here. So payment and collection templates will be in two separate places. We still have the ability to do one-time ACH payments as well as collections. There is a ability to send them out without a template. Again, they don't need a name. If you do give them a name, they are going to be added to these lists that you see here. I'm going to go ahead and create a payment template quickly here. In this case, I'll just say it's going to be a test payroll for today. And of course, my required type is going to be PPD. I'm going to be sending it to my employees. As you can see here, it tells me the types of ACHs I can do. Again, if there's a type listed here that you're not doing, you wouldn't see it listed. And then, of course, we have our company name, company ID. So that's where you're going to see your company names and your company IDs here. Again, if you have your company name, my company is Weber Welding, and my company ID. Template description, I'm going to say it's payroll, and your debited account. In this case, as that you saw with Weber, Weber's a parent company, so Weber can do ACHs for their subsidiaries or their child companies as well. Max transfer dollar amount in this case I'll do is $3,000, and I'll go ahead and click on continue. Once I click on continue, it's going to take me to my destination or my, of course, individuals that I'll be adding into my template. Okay. All right, so once I place this information in and put in the account number field holds 16 characters. I need to put that person's name in. And then detail ID or default amount. If you're going to put in any default amounts, if it's an hourly employee, I doubt if you'd be putting in any additional information for them. You'd probably leave it at 0.00. More likely, your salaried employees, you'd be putting in default amounts for them. Additional information, which is optional, is where addenda information goes if you're going to add addenda information in for that person. If you need to add in more rows of information, you'd simply keep clicking on additional detail rows, detail rows, detail rows. There is no limit to the number of items that can be added to this template, and there are no limit to the number of templates you can have for either ACHs or wires. You can also copy and paste things as well. So if you need to copy and paste things, you can copy and paste things as well. Okay. Once that information is completed, you save your templates, and now, of course, we can use those templates for usage. And I can send money using that template. And again, the next thing we're going to do here, of course, is the effective day. Don't forget about your lead days. Your bank is using 2 lead days. Again, don't forget that is going to be the effective day. In this case, this training bank is using one lead day as an effective date. Again, you can identify the dollar amounts you want to make payments for, and you can change them all in the template, or you can change them all and enter them all manually if need be. And then once I have that entry information in, I can click on continue. Once I click on continue, I would be able to verify that payment information and, of course, transmit. And again, not forgetting, we still have the token and we still have the advanced authentication pieces to go. Okay. All right, the last piece I'm going to show you here is going to be the upload of an ACH transaction. So if you are someone that's going to be doing ACH file upload, we'll be talking about that. I'm going to jump over into my other application or my other demo quickly here. So I'll go to Account Services, Transfers and Payments, and I'm going to go, in this case, to Upload ACH Transactions. In order for you to upload an ACH file transaction, the ACH file itself must be in an ANACHA format. So in order for you to do this, this file must be in an ANACHA format. It will not accept if it's not in an ANACHA format. So what you're going to do simply is browse your hard drive to find your file, and you're going to upload that file. Once you upload that file information, then you would be able to see that your file is verifying. Once that information gets verified, then you would be able to see that it is either correct and it's waiting to be approved, or it's being rejected. If it's rejected, you would see the reject reasons here once you click on the hypertext link. If you go into the files before you approve them, if you click on the hypertext link as you see here, you will be able to see the information in the file, total number of records in the file, dollar amounts being debited or credited, and if there's any pre-notes and total number of records in the file. If you want to show the transactions, you can also open up the information to show transactions. And as you can see in this one, I have both CCD and PPD information inside of that file. If I determine that that file is correct and I need to approve it, I can go ahead and approve it. This one lets me know I can't approve it because of the effective date. I'd have to go back in and change the effective date of my file and upload again. But again, in order for you to upload, file 1 must be in an ANACHA format.